everyone, it's Marcus here with the Kenwood training team, and today we're at Diamondback Harley Davidson, and we're going to install the STZ-RF200WD in this brand new Harley Davidson Pan America. The first thing that we need to do is take apart the vehicle so we can get an idea of how we can run our wires and where we're going to mount all of our components. The key to this is that you need to keep all the components within reach of the main DVR. Now, a few key points to understand about this system is that all of the components, with the exception of the DVR box, are IPX67 rated. So anywhere you put them, they'll be safe from the elements. However, with the DVR box being an IPX55 rating, you want to make sure you protect it from direct sprays of water. So mounting it underneath the dash or underneath the seat on a motorcycle are the ideal locations to keep them away from those damaging elements. It's also crucial that you mount the DVR box itself solid to that vehicle, so you don't get any false readings from the 3-axis G sensor. When setting up the control switch, you want to make sure that it's within reach of the driver's area and able to be seen, because the LED indicators give you a status of what the camera system is doing. And when it comes to the GPS antenna, we need to make sure that it has a clear view of the sky. So anywhere on the surface that you can see the antenna should be good to go. And the last component to mount on the vehicle are the front and rear cameras. Now, it's important to note that the bracket allows you to mount the camera in just about any direction, upside down or horizontal. You can rotate the mount 360 degrees, allowing you lots of flexibility when it comes to the position that you put the camera in. And we've also included a flexible yet adjustable mount that allows you to bend and contour shapes like a fender if needed. You can also apply the 3M tape when you have set up and decided on where you want the camera, so you won't have to worry about damaging while you're manipulating the mount to fit the bike perfectly. Now that you have decided where you want to put all your components, there's a few key things to remember when you're running your cabling. If you mount the control switch on an area like handlebars, you want to make sure you allow enough slack that it can move side to side when you're turning the handlebars. So before you secure the wires, please check that you have enough cable length to make sure you accommodate the handlebars movement. So now that you have adjusted your mount and decided on where you're going to put your cameras, it's now time to apply the 3M tape. We want to make sure that we mount to a clean and prepped surface, and then apply plenty of pressure when applying the camera. When it comes to mounting the control switch and the GPS antenna, the procedure is no different. You want a clean, prepped surface, and you want to apply plenty of pressure when sticking the component to the vehicle. Now that you have all the components in the position that you like, it's time to start routing the wires back to the DVR box. Avoid any moving parts or any hot parts of the vehicle, so avoid running next to exhaust or the engine itself. But otherwise, keep the cables tight and route them the same way the factory routes their cable is a good tip. Now that you've completed the installation of each of the components and you've wired all the wiring to the DVR box, it's time to hook up the system to power. If you take the power harness here, there are 3 specific cables you need to connect. The black wire is to hook up to your negative on your battery terminal. The red wire is to hook up to your positive on your battery terminal. And the yellow wire is to see an ignition trigger from the vehicle. That means you'll have to source an ignition wire that provides you a 12-volt output whenever the key is on, and that connects to the yellow wire. And this allows the system to turn on and automatically start recording whenever you turn on the key. After you found your power connections and then ran that wire to the DVR box, it's time to complete the connections. If you look at each one of the connections, you'll note that they are labeled. So at this point, you need to match each one of the components to the labeled section on the DVR box. When you match up the components to the correct labeling on the DVR box, you want to line up those arrows and making sure to be very careful not to bend those pins as you press them together and screw down the collar. So now that we have completed the physical installation, we can move on to making the adjustments in the app and setting up our preferences. The first thing that we need to do before we kick on power to the system is install the SD card. So opening up the flap on the bottom of the DVR box and insert the SD card. Now once we've done this, we can now start the vehicle. So turning the ignition on, you should see the blue light on the control switch illuminate, and that indicates that the system has power. You can continue on to set up your Wi-Fi connection with the smartphone. Now once you have completed setting up the Wi-Fi connection to the app, you simply need to go into the image angle adjustment menu. And here you can view either the front or rear camera and make the adjustments by loosening the collar on the camera mount and rotating the camera into the proper position, giving the correct field of view. You can also switch between the front or rear camera to make these adjustments. Now that we have the system installed, we've made the adjustments to the cameras from the app, and we've set our preferences. We can now move on to using the system as normal, so you can put the vehicle back together and enjoy the camera system. Thanks for watching.
Kenwood.